there, thanks for stopping by to color. Today we're going to be coloring the 3 owls here I have here. And these are from the new My Favorite Things Warm and Feathered Hugs stamp set. This little stamp set comes with the 3 owls, a couple of trees, a bigger and a smaller one, and then you've got 3 snowflakes on there. And then you've also got 7 sentiments on there. I love it when the sentiments come with your stamp set. And I did go ahead and make a card kit out of this, so you're going to get the stamp set, and then you're also going to get the coordinating dies to cut everything in the stamp set out. In your card kit, you'll also get enough supplies to cut out or to make these 3 cards, so everything's already cut out and ready for you to go. And I'll put a link to that and everything I used down in the description box in case you would like to pick something up. Anyway, I've already stamped my images here on some Neenah 80-pound Solarite cardstock, so let's color. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to start by coloring our owls. For that, we'll use E49, 47, 44, 43, and 42. And I'm going to give them a couple of coats, so I'm going to start with my E44 first. And let's go ahead and start with this little guy right here. So I'm going to say it's going to be the darkest up here where his hat is touching his face. So I'm going to go with little dabs of color right up there. And then let's make it so that the bottom of his face down here has some color. And then right here, his wing is kind of touching his body, so we'll do that. And then I'm going to grab the tips of all of these little wings right here. And how when this wing right here laps over the second side, I'm going to give that just a little bit of color along that edge. And then this one over here, I'm going to say this side of his wing is going to be a little bit lighter. So I'm going to put my darker stripe on this side. And then right here you can see his body, so I'm going to go ahead and color that the rest of the way in. We'll give it a little swipe up here, a little swipe down here on this side of his body. And then for his wings, let's go ahead and do right next to where his body is touching it. And then we're going to go right along the bottom of each of these little sections. Like that, to get it started. And I'm going to come in with my E43 next. So I'm going to touch down on my E44. And we're just going to add a little bit more color. And we're going to come back with a second coat, so don't worry if it's not blending out. I'm just softening these lines up just a little bit. Nothing fancy. And then for this color, we're going to use this color on his body, or his little belly. So let's go ahead and give that a little bit of color in here. And then for his eyes, let's go around like this. And then a little dab up here underneath of his hat. Same for this side. And then we'll bring this color around over here to his beak. Okay, then we're going to add E42. So for our E42, we're going to touch down on E43. We're going to brush a little bit more. Some of the spaces you're going to fill it in, and some of the spaces you're still going to have white. Don't worry, because we're going to come back with our second coat. So I'm just scrubbing on the edge of that E43 and bringing some of this color in here. I'm just giving it a little bit more color. Oh, and look how messy it looks. It looks like a disaster area. That's okay. Because now we're going to come in with our E49, which is a really dark one. And we're going to go with a little bit of that right here next to his hat. And we want to use it sparingly because it's really dark. Little dabs down here at the bottom of his wings and right along that shadow where they're touching. And then I'm going to add a little bit down here on his belly. I want to fill it all the way in because I want it to have a little bit of light space down there, so I'm not going to use this one all the way on that. But I did put a little dab in there just to give it a little bit of color. And then we'll go to the bottom of these wings. A little bit of color in there. And maybe a little dab right there. Now we're going to grab E47, and you're going to go right along the edge of your 49. Add another couple little stripes over here on that section, but again, I don't want to fill it in because I want it to appear a little bit lighter than just a big dark brown blob under there. Now we'll do our E44 next. So again, right on the edge of your 47. I'm going to cover up these bottom wings. This little section down here that was on the bottom. Then we'll go with our E44, our 43, to fill in the rest of his body. So now that I'm using this last color, I'm going to go ahead and brush over all those browns. So like down here, I start down here on the edge of his belly, and I bring it around to the other side and fill it the rest of the way in. Over here, we'll swipe over this wing. So I'm going over all the browns. And then we'll do our second coat on this. So down here, this is going to be under his wing, so I'm going to go ahead and just swipe over that entire area. And then let's add a little bit along the edges there, and I'll leave a little bit for my lightest color. Bring this around. And then we'll take our E42 and we're going to go over this last little section right here. And even though I filled this in, I'm going to swipe over that. And then for his eye, we're going to fill it the rest of the way in. And his eye's still got a bunch of little streaks on there, so what I do is I go back over it again, so I just swipe over the entire thing. Same for this side. And then I give it just a little second, and if I still don't like it, I'll go over it again. So let's go up and down this time and kind of move it around just a little bit more. Oops. I think I'm actually going to go over this wing right here because it's looking kind of sad too. So I'm going to give it a second or a third coat. And since this one was lighter than the ones we used, it'll kind of squish all that stuff together and move it around a little bit more. Okay, I'm liking that one. He looks really cute. Okay, so now we're going to hop over here and let's do this one. So same thing, we're just going to do all the same colors. So we're going to start with our E44. And down here, underneath of his beak, he's got a little bit of body showing in between that. And then since his head is tipped over this way, I'm going to make this side come up over here and make this side just a little bit darker. And then we'll use light over here. And I'm going to put a little bit right here on the bottom of his, I guess that's his ear. Didn't know owls had ears, but we're going to go ahead and do that. And then we'll go along the edge here. Let's cover in this little arm he's got. Then we'll do 43 next. Swipe a little bit on this ear over here. I'm going to go ahead and color that in. Even though we're going to come back with our second coat, so we're going to add darker colors over the top of that. And then this one, we're going to bring this up a little bit more. And then we'll take our 42. Okay, and we're going to start with 49. So again, we use it sparingly. It's really dark, so I'm going to put a little bit over here. And then we're going to go right along this little side. Maybe a little dab right in here, underneath of his beak. And then we're going to do this wing. It's pretty small down here, so you want to be careful in the bottom section. Next we'll add 47. I'm going to fill in this little ear over here. And then we're going to brush this, and I kind of going to swipe over these two down here at the bottom just to bring it out a little bit more. And then 43. And 42 to fill this in up here. Okay, then we're going to do the tummy, so we'll go with our E43. And again, since he's kind of leaning this way, I'm going to bring this side out just a little bit more. And we'll do 2 coats up here. And that leaves us with this little guy. So again, we're going to start with our E44. So we have some body showing down here. And then he's got his little wings holding his string or his sleigh handle. And this is a wing here. Along the bottom of his chin. Yeah, let's do a little dab above his little beak there. And the bottom of his ear. And then let's do a little bit right here, and maybe a little dab right here. Then we'll do 43 next. So again, we're just going over the edge of that 44. and then 42. And then we come back with E49. Put that where you want to have the darkest parts. $47. And now we'll come into our E44. And E43. And we'll fill the rest of this in. I think I'll put a little bit of my lightest color up there at the top. Okay, so now that since we're down to our last coat, let's go ahead and add a little bit on this, and then his eyes. $42 to fill this in up here. And we'll give those a second coat. So we'll grab 43. $42. And up here, we're going to give it another go over the top. Let's do orange next. For that, we're going to use YR18 and YR12. I'm going to go ahead and start with my YR18 first. And for YR18, we're going to do this little, on his little scarf, he's got some little sections here that have some snowflakes on it. So I'm going to brush a little bit of that on there, on the bottom, about half, this half. And then for his beak, he's got a little bit of the bottom beak showing, and then on his top beak, I'm going to do half. And then we're going to turn this. So you can't see his feet, but this little guy, you can see his feet. So I'm going to color those in. They're really small. You're not going to need a bunch of colors down there. And then for his beak, let's go ahead and do this half since it's tipped sideways. And for this little guy, same thing. Let's do his feet. And then since he's kind of straight on, I'm going to do a little bit on this side and a little bit on that side. Then I'm going to take wire 12, nothing fancy. I'm just going to fill this in. And I tend to go over the entire thing to kind of smush it all together. This side, we're going to fill this one in. And then again, there's a line right here, so I'm going to go ahead and go over the whole thing a couple of times. Kind of smush it all together. And that brings us to this little guy. So we'll fill that in and then swipe over it back and forth a couple times. And we're going to fill in our scarf little section. Okay, and there's going to be a little line right here. So again, I'm going to go over that little line back and forth a couple times and just squish those together. Let's go ahead and do yellow next. For that, use Y28 and Y23. And for your yellows, we're going to do this little hat right here. So I'm going to start with my Y28, and I'm going to do a little bit away from his pom-pom things here. And then I'm going to use it also down here on every other stripe. So I'm going to do every other stripe, and I'm going to do it halfway. And then we'll take our Y23 to fill it in. I'm going to go ahead and take my Y28 too. He's got this little string right here for his rope. I'm going to fill that. I'm going to color it with this. That seems like a good string color. Let's do green next. For that, we'll use G94, G43, and YG61. So we're going to start with G24, or G94, sorry. And we're going to do half of these. And then we will go over that little edge with our G43. So I'm going to leave a little bit at the top, the lightest color, so I can add my YG61 on that. Quick and easy, right? And we'll hop over here and we'll do this little guy. So again, I'm going to choose every other stripe. So let's go with our G94 first. So let's pick a stripe. So let's start here. I'll just start on an edge. So let's go with this one. And then we're going to skip one. So we're going to go with the next one. And then I think since these get wider across, I'm going to kind of go up to where this little line is for this first color. And then down here on the bottom, I'm going to kind of offset them. So since this one's under the green, I'm going to do this next one. And skip one. And then we got these over here with our notch. So let's see. Since this is green right here, let's do the skip one. I'll do this, and this one. And then the little knot up here's got some stuff. So I'm just going to pick a couple there in the middle and dab some color on those. Next we'll do our 43. So again, just going to add some color. Let's bring this color up. We're going to leave a little white space at the top of the scarf so that we can make it appear lighter. And then we'll fill it in with our YG61. Easy peasy. And we'll flip our little guy around here. And let's do this little guy's scarf. So again, I'm going to start with my G40 or G94. Just can't get that color right. And then let's do a little dab around this way, that, and then we're going to have this come down. And we'll have 43 next. And then 61. I think I'll give this scarf another coat. So I'm going to go with my 94 again. I'll do the bottom section down here. And I better do these little stripes too. And then 43. And then over all that green with our 61. So that leaves us with red. Let's do E19, R27, R17, and R22. I'm going to start with E19, and let's do our little sled down here first. So let's go ahead and do right next to his body here. So I'm going to color in this whole back section because he's sitting on that. And then over here, we're going to bring this red up, or this brown, along the bottom of our sled. And I'm going to take R27, and we're going to go right over the top of that. So when I go over here, I'm going to swipe up over the top. So I'm going to go past the E19 just a little bit and bring this red up just a tad past that. But it will go over that brown and make it brown underneath and give it that nice red coat over the top. Even though that brown has a red tint already, this one will give it just a little bit more. Okay, so let's do R17 over here, just a little dab. And then again, we're going to go up. And I'm going to bring it up to the lip of my sleigh, where the wood changes directions. And I'm going to do a little dab here underneath of his wing. Trying not to color over that rope, so I'm being really careful. Next, we'll go with our R22. So I'm going to fill in this little section here along the edge, and then this little bar. And that's it for that guy. Let's turn it around here, and we'll do this little guy with his hat. So again, we'll go with our E19. So I want it to be darkest on the edges, so let's go over here and brush a little bit. And over here and brush a little bit. Then we'll go with our R27. So over the top of your E19, out past a little bit. R17's next. So I'm going to bring this one right along the top of his hat because it's going to be darker there. And then for R22, we're going to fill this in. But I also tend to swipe over the entire hat. So I'm just going to pull from this side and go across, and then pull from this side and go across. Smooths it all out. That leaves this cutie. So E19 first. go along the bottom of these little scarf sections. I don't want to add too much. E19 is pretty dark, but I just wanted it to have a little bit more shadow in there. And then we'll go over it with our 27. Remember, go past just a little bit. And we'll use our R17 next. I'm just leaving a little white spot there at the top so I can use my lightest color in there. And then we'll fill in the rest with our 22. Okay, so I thought my little bird's scarf down here could have some dots, so I'm going to use my Sharpie white paint pen, and I shook it really good with the lid on, and then I'm just going to add some dots. You want to shake it really good so it mixes up the paint in there, otherwise when you do the dots, they're white, they're like an opaque clear color. I'm going to just put some dots on here. And then I'm also, for this little guy, his eyes are open, so I'm going to use my jelly roll pen. It's kind of like a glaze pen. And I'm just going to dab those on that little spots, and what it does is it gives it a little raised eye spot. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cut our little guys out, and we'll put our cards together. Okay, so I got them all cut out, so let's go ahead and assemble our first card. So I went ahead and I stamped all of my sentiments on the pieces I wanted to with some Onyx Black VersaFine ink. So this piece is going to be popped up. So I'm going to go ahead and set my card base over here. And we're going to start with some of these. So let's start with our green piece. And you can put these in any order you wanted. So I'm going to do my green piece first. And I got this one kind of set down over the top of my sending here and up kind of at an angle there on the side. Next, I'm going to go with my blue piece. And this one is going to go over the edge of this one. And again, I'm going to let it kind of come off the side of the piece a little bit right here. Next, let's do the white piece. And this one is kind of up here. And some of these too, when I cut them out, they got like little spots on them. The piece is attached still, so you're going to kind of brush them on the edges to soften them up. Next, we're going to put on the little frame piece. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and do a little dab of my dry glue down here. But then at the top, I'm going to use my liquid glue because my tape runner is kind of big. So I'm just going to put this to hold it down. And then this is set the opposite direction, so I've got it going cattywampus over this way. And then next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp one of the little trees from the set, and this you could totally leave off if you don't like that. But I've got a little scratch piece of paper. Let me move my card base. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some walnut stain distress ink. And got some fuzz on there, glitter. And I'm going to stamp my tree, and then I'm going to stamp it off over here on my piece of paper. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to stamp my tree. Onto my little white piece. So you got that on there. Let me stamp this off. Of course I didn't bring my scrubber with me, so let's just set this over here to clean later. Next I'm going to do the little smaller tree. So again, I'm going to ink it up, and then I'm going to stamp it off once, twice, and then I'm going to come up here and put my tree onto the white piece. So it's got a little bit lighter. It looks like it's further back there, and you could stamp a couple of those in there if you wanted. But next I'm going to go ahead and do a snowflake. So let's grab one of the snowflakes, and there's 3 different snowflakes in there. And I'm going to use some tumbled glass distress ink. And I'm going to stamp up. So for these, I don't want them to be so dark, so I'm going to go ahead and stamp them once, stamp them off, and then come in here and stamp them on there. And I know you probably can't see them very well, but they are on there. And then let's do another one. And how about one right here? Okay, and then I'm going to grab a different snowflake. And this time I'm going to just stamp them right on. I'm not going to stamp off. And maybe one right in here on my tree. Like so. And you could do this for all of the white pieces on your cards. I'm just going to demonstrate on this one. Okay, let's put all that over here. All right, so then we got all this stuff, and then we're going to do, what do we have next? Oh, we have all these cute little parts. So let's do, let's see. So like, see, like this one's got a bunch of stuff. When you cut it out, it leaves some little flaky things in there, so you might want to run your finger along the edge just to get some of that stuff off there. And this is a fishtail flags frame, and this is, I have bought a couple of these too, so I'll go ahead and put these in the store in case you'd like to pick this up. I'm just going to kind of set it on here to see where I want it, because I need to put this little blue flag on first. Oops, and it's stuck. Okay, I'm just going to grab my liquid glue and put some of that on the back. And then I want it to be back behind this one. So let's go with this one right about here. And since it's liquid glue, I can move it around if I don't like that. I think that looks okay. Maybe tip it up just a little bit more. Like this. Okay, the next is going to be this little yellow flag. Okay, and then again, this one's going to go across. And we'll just tap it down a little bit there. See if that's where we want it. I think I'll bring it down just a little bit. Okay. And then we'll do our frame. And then we'll do our cute little red piece. And this one kind of goes inside this frame and then flies out here, like this. Hold it down a second. Okay, then I think what I'll do is I will attach this to my card base. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some foam tape. We'll pop it up. And then this is going to go onto your card base. And then next we have this string, and you could have this however you want. I'm going to go ahead and put it maybe like this. Okay, so you could take a little piece of tape or something to stick on here. I'm going to go ahead and just do my tape runner, just to give it something to stick on. And you could fiddle with this until it's the way you want it to be. Just going to go with this. And then my little guy is going to sit on here like this. So what I found easiest to do was to put your foam tape in here and then kind of set your little guy on here to see if that's where you want him, and then maybe add another piece over here like that. That makes it a little bit easier for putting the foam tape between the twine there. And then we just tap him down. And there is our first card. Let's see all the little snowflakes. You could also emboss the snowflakes on there. I think that would be really cute. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the next card. All right, so for card 2, we're going to go ahead and use the little hat guy. So let's get some of our stuff here. And again, I stamped my sentiments already with some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. So you're going to start with the green piece and the white piece. So let's go ahead and do our tape runner on the back of this. And that one's going to go onto this one. And I kind of made it so that the top part of the card had a little bit smaller strip at the top than it does on the bottom. And then we're going to attach this. And then this one's about a ½ inch from the bottom. And then we're going to do the red piece. But you could put these in any order you wanted. And this one goes like this. And then I did the blue piece. And I'm going to bring this one up here. Let's go with right here. And then yellow. And then you have this plain white piece. So this plain white piece, we could do, again, do our snowflake. So let's grab our snowflake. Let's see here. Let's do this guy first. That one looks pretty good. And then for this one, I'm going to stamp off so he's not quite so dark. Okay, like that. Okay, let's go ahead and attach this one. Let's see, this one is going to be, let's see, do I want him straight? Let's go ahead and put this piece on straight. So we'll go like this. And then we've got this little flag right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of tape on the back of that. Oops, I taped my desk. Good job, Heather. And then this piece is going to go up here. This would be really cute too if you have one of those little tiny attachers. If you used a little staple up here to hold that on, I think that would be really cute. And then you've got some little circles. Let's attach those. Let's go with this one like, let's go down a little bit. Not right here. Oops, I got glue on my thing. I'll wipe that off. Okay, then again, you're going to have your string. So you can take your string and you can fiddle with it until you get it however you want it. I think I might tighten it up a little bit. Let's see here. Let's make it a little bit smaller. It's being persnickety. maybe like this. Okay, tape runner. Let's see if we can get a little bit in there. Oops, it's stuck. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to stick this right on that tape runner to hold it down. And then we got our little cute little owl. We're going to put him in here. Okay, so again, I went ahead and I cut a few pieces, so I'm just going to stick those down first because I find that's a little bit easier, is to stick the pieces of your foam tape down before you put the owl down. Make sure your foam tape's underneath your owl. And you give him a little squish. Then you can also do like some stickles up here on its little pom-pom, or you could do some spick a glitter pin. That would be pretty. And then you got your little stuff right there. And there is card 2. Let's do the last one. All right, so now we got card 3. So let's go ahead and get all this out. So what I've got is, it's got a little strip here of blue. So I'm going to attach that first. So I'm going to go ahead and run some tape runner along the top of my card. And we're going to put that onto this little blue piece. So we've got a little bit of blue there at the top. Then we're going to attach this to our card. Like so. And then you got all these parts. So let's start with the red one. I must like red at the bottom the most. Let's go with this. How about right here? And then we've got blue. And then we've got our little white piece. And on this white piece, you could stamp some trees or some snowflakes. I'm going to leave it white this time, just so we can see what it looks like. And this piece is going to go on to this yellow piece. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that to that first. Then we'll attach this down. And then we're going to have our little red piece. You could pop this up too if you wanted. And then again, you're going to have your string, so you want to decide how you want that to look. So you can tighten it up or loosen it or however you want it. Leave it off completely if you don't want to have twine on there. Let's see, let's go with it like this. And then we're going to have our cute little guy. Like this. And there is card number 3. All right, guys, so there are all 3 of our cards put together. I'll put a link to everything I used down in the description box. If you have a question, leave me a comment down below, and I'll make sure to get back to you. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video, and I hope you're having a fabulous week, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.